Very nice. Jules, Todd Boehly was at Strasbourg's win over Toulouse on Sunday, and the home fans greeting him with a banner saying "Non à la multipolarité."
Yeah, they're not happy in Strasbourg. I think I can understand.
What's the setup there with Strasbourg and its relation to Chelsea?
They're owned by Chelsea.
Yeah.
Just the whole outright.
Yeah, it allows them to move Brazilian and young French players to that club. Well, I mean, particularly Brazilians who maybe still can't get a work permit in the UK. Can
That's
go and play there.
Yeah.
And then, so you see Chelsea like hoovering up all these young Brazilians, and you know some can't play for Chelsea at this moment, so they'll end up being parked at Strasbourg and come to Chelsea and
might never even play for Strasbourg. I think.
But are they the new Vitesse then? Is that their role in this?
I think Chelsea want. Well, I mean, we've seen them be linked with Santos.
Yeah.
I think they want to add lots of clubs in the same way that City have, 777 have.
Loads of, you
know, even PSG have a share of Braga.
Yeah. Lyon and John Textor have Botafogo and.
The days of the one club player are the days of the one club owner similarly threatened, do you think? Are we
maybe
in 5 years will there be like 7 conglomerates that basically battle across the globe?
Yeah, I mean there's also, I mean the Red Bull Group is making it work, but even City, the idea is obviously that you put
you Rafa.
You know that you can have some youngsters playing for Strasbourg and Ligue 1, and then if they're good enough, they go to Chelsea. That kind of stuff. It's not always. It doesn't always work like that. And there's a lot of multi-club ownership that is not actually working that way.
You mentioned Lyon, John Textor, and do people in France generally share the Strasbourg's fans' unhappiness at being part of a Chelsea system?
Yeah, there's a bit of that. It's just it almost feels so. City did it with Troyes. Troyes, a small club, they went straight back down. They have fans, they're good fans, but Strasbourg, a huge club, historical club, and almost too big to be owned by another club, if you see what I mean. I don't know if I explained it well, but I think you can do it with any club, but Strasbourg are really big, and I think the fans feel like it's a bit insulting in a way to be owned and have Todd Boehly, who knows nothing about Strasbourg, French football. The players that he was watching had no idea. I mean, he doesn't even know anything about his own Chelsea players, let alone the Strasbourg ones. So they just, I don't think they're too happy to be used by Chelsea in the way they are, saying, like, listen, we signed Horncastle from Santos. Here you go. Top we don't know if he's any good, but you have him because we impose him to you, basically, and that's not going down well. But this is the best half of the season in 24 years. So in a way, the money that Chelsea made available to buy Silla in Belgium, for example, at 20 million, they would not have been able to do it without that money.
Right.
So, in a way...
But if they didn't have Chelsea as an owner, they might have another owner who would make that money available without...
Not that much, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we'll see. I mean, again, it's time will tell. If they have a good season, I think they will be happier. If it's a terrible season and Boehly and gets too involved, then they're going to hate even more.
I'm often surprised when I read about one club in one country being actually just part of another group elsewhere, because a lot of this kind of happens without people realising. This is kind of creeping.
Insidious.
It's insidious. 9 of the Premier League sides are part of a multi-club ownership program. Is it a similar number in Spain?
Well, we have Girona, for example, which belongs to Manchester City.
Right.
And probably this is one of my favourite examples, because in Spain, I think that there are not enough conversations about this, because obviously, in a way, Girona has... I'm going to phrase this, but I don't want to offend anybody. Have sold their soul in a way, because now, for example, they rely a lot on, I guess, Manchester City's style and the way they want to play, and they implement that in Girona somehow, because Girona are appointing attacking-minded managers, because they are employing some players that could belong to Manchester City in the future, and yeah, this is part of it. But I'm surprised that it's not part of the conversation.
It's a bit like when you go to, I don't know, an airport in Spain and there's a W.H. Smith there or a Boots. I feel we're just going to end up.
But to be fair, it doesn't
like
sound
the high
like
streets across
doesn't
Europe.
sound like the worst fate in the world. You know, appointing attacking managers, playing a Man City style with technical players.
No, it doesn't. But what is the room for independence?
On a street in Girona, then and I can get my frappuccino. But you're losing something, Raphael.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I went to. Tell you my Bari Starbucks story another time.
No, you went to Starbucks in Bari.
I didn't,
because it's so hard to find coffee.
But Starbucks opened in Bari the day I was there.
Wow!
And there was a queue of about 1,000 people.
Right.
Yeah.
All Italians.
Yep.
wanted to try out the magical Starbucks.
It's the end of Italy. It's the same thing where like
I'm
there's
so
this fetishization of
disappointed in
anything that's
Italy.
American. So like you go
So
to McDonald's. So for
disappointed.
example, like for a long time, Starbucks could not penetrate the Italian market
Right.
because, as James says, it's not hard to find good coffee in every corner of Italy.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think the first Starbucks in Italy was in Milan. And if you've ever been to this Starbucks, it's like going into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Yeah.
Because they have to make it like an experience where you're like, this is so over the top, where you can see like, sort of coffee being roasted. There's like these big slides of coffee beans just falling down everywhere. It's and you kind of think, wow, this is just unbelievable. This is how they drink coffee in America. Whereas instead of my bar down the road where there's like coffee stained Gazette dello Sports everywhere. Wow, this is amazing. We will queue for this. It's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
And it's part of globalization, as these sort of multi-club groups are, which are all about private equity, spreading risk around and scaling things. Which it's not what football was. I mean, I look at Palermo, which is another club owned by the City Football Group, and I'm just like, come on.
But Strasbourg is probably the biggest club with Palermo owned by another club. In Europe, I mean, I'm not counting the Brazilian clubs. It's a bit different. But
The Brazilian ones as well, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a way of...
It's the only thing that will
money.
stop it, do you think, if there was a bit of a bursting of football's bubble, because that's what's driving, I guess, all this investment?
I think nothing will stop people from watching football or anything like that, or nothing will stop me from watching football. But the truth is that I wonder again how much independence a club like Girona, or the ones that we have mentioned before, have to proceed and to do something different or to do what they want. Pere Guardiola, the brother of Pep Guardiola, it's one of the most important figures in Girona. Obviously, the link is over there, the straight connection. So, that's the thing. But it's in a new reality, a new landscape, and there are very, very few clubs actually who are going to stay aloof from this. Probably the ones owned by, or not owned, but the ones who had a lot of representation from the season ticket holders at Athletic Club Bilbao, Real Madrid, Barcelona. These ones actually are the only ones that I can remember, apart from the Bundesliga 51-49, that actually have still a certain level of independence and they listen to the fans.
Hello there. If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe to this channel? The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.